Let's see, Ariel's gonna. Thank you. Hi, I'm Deb Everhart at Credential Engine. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are very pleased to be launching the Credential Transparency Description Language Vendor Assessment Tool, or CTDL-VAT, or just VAT, as you'll hear us referring to it today. And I'll talk a little bit about how we came to this point. And others on our team are going to talk about what it is and how it can be useful for you. So the agenda today is that I'm going to give a brief introduction to Credential Engine. I see from the list that most of you know us well. Thank you for joining us today. But we'll give you some links. Oh, go back to the agenda for a moment. But we'll give you some links to go ahead and jump ahead. And then we'll introduce you to the VAT and how you might want to use the VAT, how it can fit into the credential lifecycle phases in your ecosystem, and then specifically what the resources are. So by way of introduction to Credential Engine, so Ariel just put in the chat a link to the new webpage for the VAT. So if you're familiar with Credential Engine, feel free to go ahead and go to that webpage. And in the middle of the page, you'll see the link to the actual VAT resources. And you might want to go ahead and start taking a look at those while I give a general overview. So who are we and what do we do at Credential Engine? We're a nonprofit, and our mission is credential and skill transparency. And if you look explicitly at the language of our mission statement, it says, fueling the creation of resources that empower people to find the pathways that are best for them. And those are learning and career pathways, fueled by information about the credentials and skills that help people find and achieve on those pathways. So what does that mean, fueling the creation of resources? Well, it means that we provide data infrastructure, we provide support and services for those who are building solutions that empower people. So we at Credential Engine don't build those solutions ourselves. We don't build end user products. We're vendor agnostic. We want everyone in this ecosystem to be able to contribute to and benefit from the data infrastructure that we support. So what are the components of that data infrastructure? Our technologies are really fourfold. On the next slide, there's the Credential Transparency Description Language is a schema. It's a common language that has over 1,100 different terms and properties for not only all different types of credentials like diplomas, licenses, certifications, micro-credentials, but also skills and competencies, jobs, pathways, quality assurance, organizations, and many other things that benefit from having a common schema for being able to describe them. So like one of the key use cases is to let people compare different credentials by making them available in CTDL so that the structure of information about those credentials is the same across different types of credentials from different providers. So besides that schema, we also provide a way to make data that's in CTDL available for people and solutions to use. So that's the credential registry. And we support a suite of tools for publishing data to the registry and consuming data from the registry. And that consumption of data from the registry can be very useful for a lot of innovative technologies that are now coming out as AI tools, because AI benefits enormously from structured data rather than just raw data that's out on the web. So this registry, which is a rapidly growing body of data that's in CTDL, is valuable for those purposes and for building solutions. And like I said, the only end user tool that we develop ourselves is the Credential Finder, and that's really just a viewer of all the data that's in the registry. And I'm going to come back to community at the top. So go forward now. There's a diagram on the next slide that shows you how different things, this is just a very small snapshot of how things can be linked together in CTDL, because CTDL is linked data, and therefore you can have, for example, information about Santa Rosa Junior College might come from one source, the certificate might come from another source, it might be quality assurance from another source, the competencies and skills that are mapped to occupations and industries and jobs. All of those things can come together from different sources as linked data. And then when you go to the credential finder, what you're seeing in the finder when you explore there is pages that are developed and displayed to a person just directly based on the CTDL. And everything that you see on the finder pages, as well as the way it's in the registry, is both humanly readable and machine readable, and you can follow those links, and a system can follow those links in order to get more information. No matter where you come in, you're going to be able to link to other data in these data structures. So next slide, that provides an incredibly rich array of different types of use cases that are supported with CTDL and registry data. For example, right now, we have a task group underway that's about qualification frameworks for linking together ways of structuring data and different types of credentials from different countries and regions all around the world. So what we do is work with these types of advisory and task groups to understand the use cases that CTDL can support and how CTDL can be further developed and enhanced in order to support these many different use cases. So when it said community across the top in terms of what we do, this is a big part of it, is that these groups are completely open. All of the work that we do together is transparent. And huge thanks to everyone who participated in this vendor assessment tool advisory group. We had people from higher ed institutions, from state procurement agencies, from other nonprofits and standards bodies, from vendors and other solution and tool providers, so that everyone could come together to say, these are the things that we need in a tool that's going to facilitate communication between buyers and sellers, and for solution developers to understand better how, not only how to use the CTDL, but how to communicate how they use the CTDL. So you can learn more about our task groups and advisory groups and get involved. There's a link there on that slide. All of these slides will be shared as part of our transparent processes after this webinar. So that's context about CTDL and how we work together with this over 6 months long advisory group to develop this particular tool. And now you're going to learn about the tool itself. Thanks.
And hi, everyone. I'm not sure that I've met everyone that's on this webinar, but I'm Jillian Schulten. I'm a state partnerships manager here with Credential Engine, and my background is from the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. I was there for 7 years, and I bring that up because we did put out an RFP multiple times for various consuming tools that consume CTDL. So I'm really excited to be able to share more about the CTDL-VAT and how that can help empower you with clarity and confidence in your own vendor selection process. So we'll start with a little bit of background and an introduction to what the VAT is. So the VAT, it's a multi-part tool designed to help buyers, vendors, and other stakeholders document, assess, and communicate the functionality of vendor solutions as they relate to the CTDL, CTIDs, and the credential registry. So it provides a structured way to outline the specific capabilities of products and services using CTDL, and it focuses on supporting the publishing, consuming, and managing of credential and skill data. And like Deb just mentioned in that last slide, it was developed by an advisory group with a lot of experts in technology procurement, credential transparency, and data use from various sectors. So if we go to the next slide, this talks a little bit about the marketplace and the different opportunities. There are many challenges that can exist in this marketplace that we can help address with the VAT. So oftentimes, some folks that are interested in learning more about this, they're first-time buyers and sellers, so they don't even really know where to start. There might be some confusion and misunderstanding about offerings. There are a lot of times differences in selection processes, and that can be burdensome. There's a decision risk for buyers, and that can be a big barrier to folks. Differentiation needed for vendors and service providers, and then various market drivers for those roadmaps of new solutions. But we really strive to empower stakeholders with that clarity and confidence in the bidding and selection process. Coming from a state agency, I know that it can be kind of hard to understand where to even start and where to take the first step. And so we are going to be providing you a lot of resources today that can help you to do that and help you along that full process. So if we go to the next slide, this section, we're going to talk a little bit about how this work can benefit you, how it can benefit vendors, buyers, and other stakeholders that are in this credential and skill ecosystem. So here we dive a little bit deeper into these benefits. For vendors, we'll start off with the vendors. You can differentiate your offerings with CTDL and really highlight the product's use of CTDL, CTIDs, and integration with the credential registry. You can connect with qualified buyers and efficiently reach buyers seeking CTDL-ready solutions. Then also streamline the purchasing processes. So you can use pre-written functionality questions and data tables to clearly communicate to your buyers' needs. If we move on to buyers, what this allows you to do, again, is find CTDL-ready products. You can streamline that vendor assessment process and make more informed decisions. So using a well-developed and up-to-date analysis framework to define clear, detailed requirements as a basis for decisions. And then other stakeholders, the benefits are to improve transparency and gain a clear understanding of CTDL standards and their benefits, clarify communications using that common framework and detailed functionality questions. And then you can connect CTDL capabilities across products and actively develop ecosystems that can use CTDL to empower people. So if we go to the next slide, these are some various use cases that we wanted to outline for you. I'm not going to go through each of these. This is something where if you'd like to dive deeper when we send out the slides, feel free to do that. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about the institutional buyer and just a specific use case. So if, say, you're at an institution and you're in the registrar's office and you want to issue an RFP for a credentialing platform, that purchasing committee, they read the VAT instructions and locate the relevant sections, and you'll see that here in just a bit, that are required for submission along with your RFP process. And they take away those other templates that aren't needed, but ideally the bidding vendors, they've already completed the VAT. So we will get to that point. And then they may just need to adjust some of those qualitative answers to best describe their capabilities specific to that opportunity, and then they'll submit it. And the registrar's office will receive the VAT and interpret it and use the scoring based on the guidance that is provided in the tools rubric. And there might be some back and forth if you're familiar with those RFP processes. Sometimes there's a lot of questions that go back and forth before you're able to address everything and really move forward with the proposals and contracts. If we go to the next slide, this last section that I'll discuss is how the VAT fits into building ecosystems for credential and skill transparency. So there's quite a few resources on here. And we won't put them all in the chat here, but you'll be able to check those out once we send out this slide deck. But you may already be familiar with some of these resources. They're great to take advantage of, whether it's for the VAT or just in general. Starting off with the state roadmap. So this will allow you to understand, engage, analyze, and sustain solutions. There's a bunch of various resources in the roadmap. It's really a great tool for our partners. The credential life cycle, that dives deeper into specific phases of a credential. Really worth taking a look at if you're trying to figure out the full ecosystem life cycle. And that will also talk more about different types of products and different solutions. We do have the CTDL-VAT on here, so that is really specific to CTDL that's needed in products and solutions, and Jeff is going to talk more about that here in just a moment. And something that is also very helpful with this is some example RFP language. I mentioned in Indiana, there were quite a few tools that we put out some requests for proposals for. One of those was the Indiana Career Explorer, and it does specifically mention some proposals that were put out there and the language that was used. So I know when I was working on a scope of work, it was really hard to know where to even start. So these resources can be very helpful in that, and you're always welcome to reach out to us for some more guidance as well. The last piece on here is just a little bit of a mention about our other services to support credential and skill transparency. So that link will take you to that page on our website, and we're always happy to share some more information. But I believe, handing it off to Jeff.
Great. Thanks, Jillian. And hey, everyone. My name is Jeff Grant. I work here as our Credential Solutions Lead. And I think I have got the good fortune to give you something of a test drive of the CTDL-VAT itself, so you can get a little more meat on what we're talking about here with these tools. And so on the next slide, we've got a list of 3 different documents that we're gonna show you. The CTDL-VAT tool itself is the first one there. It is a Word document. We'll open that up in just a moment. It's kind of the main document that describes the VAT itself. It has specific instructions in it, and it has references to the other documents here that are part of the VAT as well. The second one being this customization guide. That's a spreadsheet that we've begun to accumulate particular functional questions that are very relevant to different types of products you may be buying in the market. Sometimes, you may think, well, I need to get a badge tool or something, and this document will help you kind of specify what are the very important things that tool needs to do, so that it can most utilize CTDL and connect in with a broader ecosystem. And then the last one is this data tables. This is another spreadsheet. It contains lots of tabs in it pertaining to different classes of CTDL and the different terms inside those classes that are very important for different functional tools to have. So we'll walk through that together. It's all linked from the resources that have been put in the chat here. So I encourage folks to open up these documents yourself, take a look at them. If you have questions, that's happy to answer those as we go here. But Devin, could we just open up the CTDL-VAT tool itself? We're not going to go and read this whole document here, but I just want to scroll down here. The introduction section is intended to help you, but also people you may be working with that are not very familiar with CTDL and do not know much about this work, to have some context. So we specify here links to good resources about CTDL, about Credential Engine's work, some of the benefits to different stakeholders. If you scroll down a little bit more, there's a very helpful resource. We've begun to position our work around related to the life cycle of a credential. Um, there's a link there for you to check out as well. But the concept there is that a credential isn't just doesn't just appear at a point in time. There's a life cycle to it. There's a portion of time before a credential is even created, and there are tools that help with that, all the way from defining the credential, doing marketing about it, um, tracking progress towards a credential issuing, consuming the credential after it's been earned. There's a lot of components to that, all of which bear on how well does the tool you're purchasing at this point connect into those other use cases, the entire life cycle of the credential. And that's one of the benefits of CTDL as well. So enough about that. The next section here is about how to use it as a buyer. And we do expect folks who are purchasing tools to be able to use these steps to create detailed documentation about their CTDL requirements. And so, and some of the first things here are referencing those spreadsheets. So we'll come back to how the buyer interacts with the CTDL-VAT when we get to those spreadsheets. The next section down below are these instructions for vendors. These are folks who have already invested in supporting CTDL and enabling them to document and show that support very clearly using the resources we've accumulated here. So there's instructions for vendors about how they can do that in advance. And then the next section down here is just some of the forms, just some of the, like, let's get the information documented. So there's a general form here. If you scroll down more, there's on the next page, there's a spot here for these functional questions, and those will come from this other spreadsheet that we're going to look at. The customization guide will help with that, filling in that table. And then the technical capabilities, these are what we think of as fairly core technical capabilities products need to have if they're going to support CTDL and operate in the marketplace. You'll see the reference to CTIDs here quite a bit. That turns out to be a key component of managing credential information across time, across tools, and on the web. So folks can review and use those technical capabilities questions. And then down below, just to close this out, we have some data. Well, we have data management questions. These are about how those technical capabilities enable different users to interact with CTDL and the information. And I think the last portion of this is about interpreting responses. So you'll get back, as a buyer, you'll get back a lot of claims about CTDL, and how do you make sense of those? How do I interpret the responses? And so this is a beginning portion of this document that's trying to provide guidance about interpreting RFP responses relative to CTDL. We expect this document to continue to evolve. We have feedback mechanisms in the document. Everyone on the call here, if you're looking at this, have a thought of how it can be improved, very much welcome that through our feedback mechanisms to make this as useful as it can be for the market. So let's round this out by looking at those spreadsheets that I mentioned. Devin, there's another link in that deck to the customization guide. Is there a way you could bring that up? Oh, thank you. Very good. Okay, so here what we've done is accumulate sets of different products that can utilize CTDL very usefully. And so you'll see that there on the left, different product types, competency management, credential issuing solutions. These are all ways that people are using CTDL. They have a position within that life cycle context. We've tried to link and line up what phase of the life cycle those products are operating within to give you more context. Those can be actually really useful to share with other stakeholders that you may be working with to help them understand that portion of the life cycle more. Then this column C has are the top level CTDL classes that are highly relevant to that use case. So, if you're dealing it, obviously if you're dealing with credential issuing solutions, you, your tools need to be able to understand credentials, the top class CTDL credentials, and the terms within that class. Organizations, also very important. And we'll use that information to connect with the other spreadsheet I'll show you next. But just rounding it out, here we see those functional questions that I mentioned. These are some of the things that you should be asking your product vendors about how they support these capabilities. And feel free to use these right in the CTDL-VAT. They can also evolve and continue to improve over time. And there are many products in the marketplace. This was just a set that came from our work groups. We expect there to be more products, more rows to this spreadsheet as the VAT grows. And the last piece here is this third spreadsheet on data tables. We have some orientating instructions here at the first sheet. I'm not going to go over that. The important piece are the other tabs down at the bottom where we list those major CTDL classes. If you click on, Devin, let's click on the credentials one. Click on that. Okay, here what we've done is we've pulled out from the CTDL schema itself the class, the key property sets, and then the CTDL terms that are relevant to that class. And we've listed the description of that term and provided a column here about is that term required relative to the Credential Engine's registry publishing policy or not. So what that means is that for you to publish a credential to the registry, it's required that we have information about the credential name. It's required for it to, have a credential status type. And so in column F, what the vendor can do is they can say, yes, we support that or not. If you click, just click on one of them. You can see, yes, we do, no, we don't, or we're planning to do that. And then just kind of an open-ended space here on the side where they could type in any commentary they want to have about that functionality. The idea is that if you're going for an RFP with that credential issuing product line where it said organizations and credentials, you'd be able to take this document, this spreadsheet, save a copy of it for yourself, probably delete the classes down below that are not relevant to your use case, and include the organization and include the credentials tab for bidders to complete as part of your RFP process. So that's the intent. There's clearly a lot of information here. Definitely welcome feedback, and especially as you think about using this in the marketplace, I think that it's through the use of the tool in relation to purchases that this will evolve and continue to get better over time. So with that, Ariel, I think I will turn it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just put in the chat if you have any questions about anything that we've gone over. If you want to ask, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll call on you. You can ask. Or if you just want to type it in the chat, one of us will respond to you. Okay. Oh, looks like Pedro had a question. In terms of data consumption, are there any synchronization methods available? And also, are there any access quotas or rate limits?
So I noticed that Jeannie Kitchens, our Chief Technology Services Officer, is on the call. Jeannie, maybe this is a good question for you.
Okay, hello everyone. And where is this question? Sorry, I caught part of it, but I do not see the question.
It was in the Q&A, but I just threw it in the chat.
Okay,
Thank you, Ariel. In terms of consumption, are there any synchronization methods available? So with the credential registry, there are multiple what we call consuming options available that range from doing a direct queries of the graph to gets of the data over a URI to downloading for offline use. And yes, there are ways that you do that if you want to consistently update the data and keep it synchronized. So the answer to that is yes, and there are multiple options. And are there access quotas or rate limits? At this time, we have not imposed access quotas or rate limits. We keep an eye on those things, and possibly there could be in the future, but at this time, no, there are not. You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Jeannie. I put in the chat a link to the registry handbook section about consuming data. It details each of those options Jeannie referenced. So encourage folks to dig into that.
Awesome. And then Devin, if you want to go to the next slide. So if you would like to partner with Credential Engine, there are a myriad of ways to do that. And then we've included all the resource links here, which will be available to you with this deck. After this webinar is over, we'll send out an email to everybody with all these resources. And you can use CTDL in your data design. You can publish data from your organization to the credential registry. And we have a publishing team and publishing tools that can help you with that. You can also consume data from the registry by setting up an account with us. And we have an accounts team and accounts tools that can help you with that. And then also, if you're interested in, getting updates from us or hearing what we're up to, we do have a newsletter that goes out, and you can use the link that you find here to subscribe to that newsletter, and you'll be added to the email list. And then again, we just linked here because this is a new web page on our website. So we're just providing the link. So you'll be sure to find it and look at it. And this has the resources that we have shown you here, and also just an overview and some information. So that would be a good place to bookmark and go back to. And then also we have included a link to our services page on our website as well. That just kind of goes over some of these different services that we provide and different ways that you can partner with us. Go ahead to the next slide, Devin. And this is us, our team. So if you have any specific questions, or if there was one of us that you felt particularly compelled to reach out to, this is our contact information. You can also email us at info@Credential Engine. But if there was anything specific you wanted to chat with any one of us about, we are open, always eager to respond and available. So this is our little snapshots and our contact info. And we will be sending out, again, all this info to everybody that registered for this webinar. So you will have it available to you, as well as this recording. Oh, Deb, did you want to say something?
Yeah, thanks so much, Ariel. I'm a little off script here, but I just wanted to double back to my point about the mission. Our mission is that there needs to be tools, solutions of various sorts out in the world that actually empower people using CTDL so that they can compare credentials, so they understand their own skills, so they can find pathways, so they can get jobs, so they can get transfer value. And so we just really encourage everyone not only to use these tools, but to help us improve these tools. We need to be able to, we collectively need to be able to facilitate an arena where buyers and sellers have clear communication with each other, and solutions developers have ways of understanding what the market needs. And even like within an agency or an organization or an institution, you have what you need in order to do the analysis to figure out, well, what CTDL do we need and why? What are our use cases? So please, we expect these tools to evolve over time. We hope they're self-service enough that you can just go ahead and start using them. But please keep in touch with us and let us know, one, if there are questions and improvements, and also if it just works, let us know that too. Thank you. We knew this wouldn't be a full hour. There's no reason to take a whole hour of your time if if people don't have additional questions. All right, I think that's a wrap. Stay in touch, everyone, and take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.